Welcome, everybody, to Live Louder Podcast. I'm Scott.
I'm Melodie. Happy Saturday.
We are seriously unserious. And when we say that, what we do is we take a look at all different things in life and we talk about problems, but we also don't take everything so seriously, too. Because what's the point if you're not having fun, right?
Yeah, you got to live life on the edge a little bit.
You have to. You have to. It's so important. And that's we've done shows already. I mean, I don't remember what our first show was, but we were just all over the place.
It was so much fun, and remember we had to re-record that whole show.
The first time we sat down, we've been doing this. This is episode 4, guys. We're at the beginning, and we're so glad everybody's out there. We got people commenting already.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Oh, okay, Nellie's with us already.
Hey, Nellie.
Hi, Nellie. How are you? But we just said, let's try this and see what happens. And we recorded what we thought was a great show until I realized I never hit the record button.
Oh my God. I swear, I thought I saw you hit the record button, which is so crazy. And then we're almost done, folks. We're almost done. And Scott, bless his heart, he looks over and he just turned totally white. And I said, what's up? He goes, oh my God, it's not recording.
You know what? But it was okay because immediately then I hit the button. I don't know what I did. Hit a button. I don't know what I hit, but I hit the record. We started the show again, and it was actually even better. But now we're doing great things. We're starting.
It was a warm up.
Yes, it was a warm up. We talked about great movies and movies that inspired us. We talked about music that inspires us. We've talked about a lot of things, but what we've been hinting at the last couple of weeks, is talking about relationships and our role in relationships and maybe the improper, I don't want to say improper use of a relationship, but it's kind of what I mean. It's like going into a relationship for the wrong reasons.
Right.
And more importantly, going into a relationship and being more in love with the idea of being in love than actually being in love with that person.
Going on going on the rescue mission.
The rescue mission.
I'm guilty of those.
I think that's more of a female thing is wants to rescue the guy.
Yeah.
And the guy, I think more often the guys just want to control the situation and just, I'm a fixer. You got a problem, I'll fix it. And women are always trying to fix us. So I mean, there's all that. There's a lot of fixing going on, not a whole lot of love going on.
We gotta fix ourselves.
And we're not anti-relationship. We are not.
No. I love to love and I love hard. I do. Yeah.
But I have found the more I focus on friendships, the more all my other relationships mean. You follow me?
Yeah.
It's like it helps, learning to be friends. But anyway, we've got a great guest. Okay, here we go. Hi, kids. Good morning. That's Sandy Mom is with us.
Hey, good morning, Sandy.
We've got my friend. He's out in California.
I can't wait.
I think it's California. He'll correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 7 a.m. where he is. So
bless his heart.
I'm really glad he had to get up and start drinking coffee at, 3 a.m. or something, but just to get him up. But here he is. This is the love doctor himself, Barry Selby. Barry, thank you for coming on, brother.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. And I love hearing how you're fumbling your way towards success in your shows.
Yes. Here's the thing, Barry. The funny thing is we met, never met before. And within 24 hours, we were recording our first show.
That's cool.
And didn't even know that much about each other other than this is going to work because of our energies and our ideas and everything matches. And this is probably one of the healthier relationships I have in my life right now.
We manifested this. Yes.
Yes, we did manifest. But let's get you going. I mean, you are the love doctor and have been, going with that moniker for a period of time. Tell us about what you do so that everybody can get to know Barry.
Well, the moniker, the love doctor, was really given to me by my friends and clients. They nicknamed me that, so I can't claim it's my brand because, frankly, there are probably thousands of love doctors in the world.
Yes,
but I've always been the shoulder women cried on since I was a kid. So that's always been my secondary thing. If I was going out doing a job, what I was doing, I still have my friends would use me to whinge, whine, and complain to. So it's kind of became like one of my gifts that I would serve. Formally, though, I've been coaching and teaching and guiding my clients for the last 13, 14 years. after making many mistakes in my own relationships, and also studying psychology and other things too, but also learning what I did wrong and then learning how to fix it. Then I could help other people not make the same mistakes I did.
Ah, I see. Yeah. How important is that? You bring your personal experiences into what you do. You're not like, I'm here and you're there, and it's a whole, I'm higher than you and smarter than you. But you bring your personal relationships in, don't you?
Well, my certainly personal experience, yeah. And also from that of my clients, because I've had lots of experiences of my clients telling me their stories too. So I know that we're all in this together, basically. So yeah, I don't expect to be superior. I've just basically learned things along the way I can help other people with. And frankly, I can only really learn them if I share them with other people.
Okay.
Barry, how can someone tell the difference between a healthy compromise and losing themselves in a relationship?
Starting with easy questions, huh?
The yummy one.
We're jumping right in, brother. We don't got a lot of time. Okay. We're trying to fix the whole world in 1 hour. So what do we got?
Okay, let's dive in then, shall we? So healthy compromise. What was the other piece you said?
And losing yourself in the relationship.
Well, the fact you said healthy at the front is a key word, because a lot of people don't know what healthy is in relationship. So being healthy in a relationship, simply put, the way I would frame it is that you come in with a place where you feel like you're whole in that relationship. So to like the thing about losing yourself in a relationship, my favorite quote I use all the time about codependency, which is what this is about, is from Jerry Maguire, where he where they say, you complete me. It sounds so romantic, but it's toxic. Because the implication is that you're not complete without the other person. And that lack of being complete is a fallacy. We make up stories that when I find my person, I'll be whole, I'll be happy, I'll be fulfilled. So we externalize all our support for ourselves on somebody else. So that losing yourself is really because we think they're going to save us or make us feel better, which is, frankly, is a lie. Yes, we will feel better when we're with them, but we, and the key word is we feel better when we're with them, not they make us feel better. So it's about being whole ourselves,
Practicing self-love, the importance of self-love.
Well, also recognizing that it's not somebody else's job to make us feel good. It's our job. Mm-hmm. And we can hopefully have that with the other person, because yes, being another person is so wonderful and joyful and fulfilling. But the reminder is that we get to do that to ourselves with the other person witnessing in a way.
But that's a big thing is it's always, or at least the concept of relationships going back a long, long time, well before our times, has always been, two people coming together to become one, which is just a bad idea to begin with, because if you're doing that, that means I got to drop half of who I am and you got to drop half of who you are. So we become one person. And that's where you see things like compromise, losing yourself, getting along to get along kind of ideas. But this goes back forever, Barry. This has been the concept that you become a complete person when you have a relationship. How do we change that thinking?
Well, if it was so easy, we'd be done with that so quickly. No, because the thing is, we used to say that relationships are 50-50, but they're not, because that's the compromise piece. It's the assumption we have to give up who we are to be with the other person. And I had to learn this myself, because my upbringing, my parents were very much in codependency, because that was the model that they were raised with. And as you're saying, like, it goes back many generations, because we do unfortunately inherit our relationship experiences and patterns from our parents. So it's oftentimes we repeat the same cycles through generations because we don't know any differently. And really, I preach this basically, that relationships are really 100-100, because you have to bring all of yourself into a relationship, and so does the other person. And because a relationship isn't 100% of the two of you together. It's 200% and more, because it's two of you plus the relationship. The amount of success, joy, and fulfillment you have in a relationship is how much you commit to yourself in the relationship. Keyword being commit to self in the relationship. And so it becomes additive, not subtractive. But how we make that happen for everybody, and it's going to have to be like speaking from the mountaintop and doing shows like this over and over again to tell everybody.
But that 100% commitment, that commitment to the relationship, that can go too far as well, where I don't I give up the rest of who I am. Well, I'm going to put all myself 100% in here, so I no longer don't need friends anymore, and I don't need side activities, and I don't need to go golfing, and I don't need to do this, or she doesn't, or we see people drop out of school. I'll stay home while you work, and I'll drop out of school. People
give up your dreams.
That's that compromise thing where it's not a healthy compromise. You give up all those things because they're thinking, I'm putting everything I got in. That's a lot of pressure to put on somebody, isn't it?
Yeah, I did that myself when I have regrets for some of the women I dated back when I was younger, because I did the same thing. I gave up all my friendships. And it's funny because these are chapters in my book, so I'm speaking from experience of my own learning as well. The trap we fall into is we think that relationship is more important than everything else. And it can be the most important thing in your romantic life, but you still need to eat, work, thrive, breathe, all these other things too. And sometimes we seem to put all of that on the side because of our partner is more important than anything else. And it can sound heroic, it can sound romantic, but again, that isn't healthy. And the idea of being fully in the relationship with nothing else going on, it is frankly going to really put a lot of pressure on your partner to deliver everything you're not getting from somewhere else. So it's like you need, I'd say it's this way, but a healthy relationship benefits from both partners having their own lives as well as the relationship. And so they have their own friendships. They may have mutual friendships too, but they have their own hobbies. Because frankly, most relationships don't work well if you spend 24/7 together, face to face and nose to nose. You suffocate each other.
Yeah. I've been told you should die several times because we spent too much time together.
I wasn't suggesting that.
You struggled with that too in your past, where you put everything in and you forget about you, right?
Yes. I think that we all fall into that trapping of just losing our identity and giving up on our own self and our own dreams, just so that, and you know what, Scott, and honestly, I let myself do this because I felt that I had to fulfill what that whole stereotype was, to be a mom, to be a good wife. I was also working full time, so I was pulling my weight there too. And it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And no person realizes a dream in isolation, right?
Right.
You need a good supportive partner to help you get to your goals and dreams and support you, not tear you down and try to bring to light every negative aspect about you. So the partner that we pick in our life is the most important thing that we can do. It's the most important decision that we can make. But you have to choose yourself first. And you have to be so good to yourself and fall in love with the person that you are. Be the person that you want to have as your best friend. Be the person that lights up your life and inspires you. And once you have that, you connect with the right people. You're gonna magnetically pull in those right people into your life, because you're gonna get more out of that connection and using that energy. And I believe that we all have this life force energy within ourselves. We are have this natural state of happiness in our life that we forget about. And even as we get older, we have to constantly remind ourselves that we do have this inner light. There's an 8-year-old inside of us, right, that still has dreams and hopes. And you should never stop having those things in your life. Whether you're 8 or 80, you should always have dreams and goals within yourself.
Absolutely.
She said a great word, partner. Partner. I mean, because that's when you think about it, instead of just one person, partner is two people. And sometimes one of the partners is doing 80% of the work because that's their area. Like maybe the wife is better at doing the bills and the this, and the husband's better at doing the outside lawn and doing this.
Cool.
So there are times when somebody steps up and gives a little bit more, but it goes like that's what partnerships do, right, Mary?
Yeah, this thing is when I'm saying you give yourself fully as a relationship, and what you said, Melody, was so on point about how you really have to put your own self first in a relationship and in your own life. And there are things that are going to be happening in a relationship that are going to fluctuate who does what when. But it's the mindset and the intention that a relationship is both partners fully committed to making it the best it can be. And you bring yourself to the relationship. And yes, there are times where one partner may be carrying the relationship more than the other one is because maybe they're sick or they're having some challenges at work or having other issues. But it's not the permanent way of being. It's a transitory experience. And both partners know you're choosing back in as best you can all the time. Because relationships do require work. It's not you just, okay, I'm in a relationship and you're done. It's like, no, it is a big commitment because you are basically dedicating yourself to this expression called relationship with somebody else. And it's a joyful experience, but it also requires you to step up and not just coast along, which I used to do in my past relationships. So I know better.
Yeah. Once I got you, then I'm good. Then I could just show a picture of you to everybody. I got a girl and I'm done. That's all I got to do. I want to talk more about this relationship with self. But before we get there, I just want to address something that I know I recognized about me. And I am, what do you call the hopeless romantic? But what the hopeless romantic is he's in love or she's in love with the idea of being in love. And it's not, it no longer becomes about the actual partner as much as it becomes about I just want to walk around and be in love. That's what
because you like the feeling. I love the emotion that goes along with it. Doesn't everybody?
But how do you, Barry? I mean, how do you know? I mean, are there indicators that you're just in love with being in love?
Well,
that's a great question.
That's a good question. Yeah.
I know. Whenever he has to look up to the side and
I like
about
that.
I know
Very thought provoking.
If he comes up with an answer that fast, it's not a good question.
Yeah.
The thing that the fantasy of love, which really we're talking about here, is never fulfillable because we're always pursuing something that's not real. And the thing is, to be blunt, we humans are all imperfect. None of us are perfect. So that relationship idea of love, being in love with the idea of love, is you're looking for something that is frankly not attainable. So then you'll never be satisfied with whoever you're with, and you'll frankly be always looking for the next or something better because they won't be the ideal you think you want. So relationship really is about seeing the other person clearly after, of course, seeing yourself clearly in the mirror. So it's like recognizing that you are the love you can give. You can give as much love as you can with all your history and challenge and everything else. And you want to find somebody else you can dance with who can play with you on that level. But the challenge is, yes, we do sometimes get caught up in the fantasy of love that has been idealized in all the movies and everything else too. So we think it's going to be this perfection. But love and relationship requires effort. It requires consciousness. It requires work because it's something worth pursuing. It's worth putting effort into. A relationship is something I frankly think that, as I said earlier, like how like you get into it and you want to coast. Like, no, being in a relationship, it's such a jewel, such a great thing to be in. You want to put the effort in to make it work for both partners.
All right. We keep coming back to this thing about self-love and taking care of and self-care. Does this come up often with the people that you work with?
Oh no!
Apparently, we struck a chord here.
Well, because most of my actually all my clients are single. I used to have a couple of couples I work with, but it's all my clients are single. So it is always about self-relationship because that's who I'm talking to, is the person who's in relationship with themselves. And it's the challenge that in romantic relationships, we oftentimes are unable to or unwilling to let go of what happened before. So we carry around this like baggage of past relationships that didn't work or we failed the relationship, whatever it was that we didn't have because we're not in that relationship anymore. And then we don't go into the new one fresh and clean and like the new expectation. We carry our assumptions and judgments from the past relationship into this one. So basically, we're painting this new person with the old brush, and that is a disservice to them and disservice to us.
Yeah, I know. It puts a lot of judgment on the new person too, because you're going in, and if you're still carrying all that stuff around, like right there. Every time they look sideways, you're going to compare it to something that happened before.
Exactly.
And instead of figuring out what is going on in the moment.
You know, it's like that metaphorical backpack that I call it, of carrying around your worries, your traumas, your fears, your unmet expectations. Once you decide, I'm going to let go of this backpack and gently let it fall to the ground and leave it there and say, okay, you served me well. I got to move on. I learned my lesson. I'm letting that baggage go. because you can't see the past. It's behind, it's elusive. It's back there. It doesn't even exist. I mean, so starting your story now and becoming the person that you want to be so that you can show up for the other person. And if you choose that you do want a relationship, I mean, not everybody wants a relationship out there, but I believe that everybody is meant to be having connection with people. It's very important that we have human connection. I think that we are in an epidemic of loneliness right now since the pandemic. It's just pushed people further and further away. I mean, we have 8 billion people on this planet, tons of dating apps, and everybody's lonelier than ever, and nobody's getting married anymore or having kids. So something's got to change. And that's one of the missions that I have, is to hopefully end loneliness.
It's a great mission.
We desire connection in this world, romantic
Absolutely.
or otherwise. So, yeah.
And it's got to go past the electronic.
Oh,
It's
yes.
got to go past the electronic. It's too easy now. What do you think of dating apps? Just the love doctor, the expert. What do you think of dating apps?
Well, I want to hear,
because I've had some big failures, let me tell you.
Well, let me preface that first by talking about social media, because you mentioned about loneliness and separation, because we got trained during the pandemic to connect through social media, especially.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody talking about this a couple of days ago. But really, it's unsocial media, because you're not being social, you're not connecting with somebody. You just do something you're posting what you did that day. It's like it's a diary in a way. The idea was, back in the old days, you write a diary and keep it private. Now you put everything online. It's like crazy. So dating apps in a way are an extension of that, because dating apps are a way of connecting. Now, let me say it another way. Dating apps can be like that. But the thing about dating apps is it's one of the tools that allows you to meet somebody new, which you don't necessarily do when you go to a bar and hang out and hope to meet somebody. I know a lot of matchmakers and dating connectors, and they have a whole different way of doing things and a whole different spectrum, because let's just say you got to pick and choose to find the right one, just to do with dating apps as well. So I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, but with dating apps in particular, it's an easy way to meet people with some serious caveats, because the dating apps, same as social media, you don't always know who you're talking to. So when you meet someone on a dating app, first of all, you want to check and verify every time, because the dating apps, people put up fake profiles all the time. A lot of men and women are doing phishing scams and looking to hoodwink somebody, to use an old term. And there was a movie, it was a documentary on Netflix a few years ago during the pandemic, I think, which was I think it's called the Tinder Swindler. I think it was the name of it.
Yes. I remember that. Yes.
It was this guy in Europe, and he kept parlaying different women to make money by getting them to pay him. And he would take him out on these wonderful private stuff, but he'd use the money from somebody else to pay for that trip. So he was working his way up the ladder, sort of thing. It was a crazy scheme, but there are a lot of scammers out there on the dating apps. So I always tell people, if you're on dating apps, first of all, if you like somebody, don't give away any information without knowing that they really are the right person. So first of all, if you're going to communicate with the app, do it through phone or video if you do it inside the app, because most of the apps now have that feature, so you don't have to just type in and then give away your phone number, because you don't want to give that out. If you don't have that ability, get a Google Voice number, so you don't give out your personal phone number. So you want to talk on the phone first, because first of all, you want to make sure it does sound like the person you see on the image, in the dating profile.
Yeah.
And then when you meet them, because you want to ideally meet them pretty quickly, so you don't want to spend a lot of time building a fake or a fantasy romance online. Meet them in person, meet them during the daytime, not at night, because you get a better idea of what they look like, and meet them somewhere, I would say, I call it neutral, but meet them somewhere public, because you don't know who this person is from Adam, because you're looking on a dating app and you meet somebody and their profile looks cute. You want to make sure, first of all, their pictures match. That's one reason we want to do video, because you can see, is this person who they say they are, because sometimes they're not. And then when you meet them in person, because again, dating apps can work, but you got to be a wise steward of the resource. And so when you meet somebody in person, you can sort of see if that person really is who they say they are. Because even when you meet somebody at a bar or somebody else, you got to really find out who they really are, because it's the first impression can be inaccurate.
Yeah, I think coffee shops are great places to meet. Bars get a little loud, and it could take away from the actually getting to know people. Don't go to the movies on your first date, because, well, if you're talking during the movie, I'm throwing your ass out of the theater. I'm trying to
right.
So, Coffee, I've always thought, a coffee shop, you're right. Daytime, a light lunch or something, but public. And if they give you a hard time about meeting you, immediately end whatever you're doing.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a huge red flag right there. And people, I got to tell you, Nellie says, ugh, no to dating apps. Yeah.
So I have two experiences. So my first marriage, I met my husband organically. I met him in the gym. We hit it off and went to dinner. It was the old-fashioned way, and which I still believe is the best way to meet people.
Absolutely.
Propinquity, nearness and distance, the places that you naturally go to throughout the day. And then my second husband, I met on Match. Now, I was reluctant to go on this is back in 2010.
All right.
My sister threw me. Wendy, if you're listening to me right now, I was so mad at you. So she made an account for me on Plenty of Fish. I don't even know if they're still around. And eventually I graduated and I went on to Match, and that's where I met my husband. But I just don't like the social media platforms at all. I don't feel that. I think it's a little scary. I think it's very scary. I have had a girlfriend that got swindled, like you said. Oh my, and this is recent. Okay. So this is not, and she is in her 40s. So, I mean, it's not like it's not happening anymore. It's happening today. So it's kind of scary to put yourself out there.
People only get scammed if they're desperate for something. You can't scam somebody who is healthy and doesn't need what you're giving them. If they want something, but they're not desperate. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the thing is that these scammers are very sophisticated. So you can think that you've got it together and you're fine, but they can hook in ways where they can
make it appear.
Well, they also can leverage, like they can notice things about your, or when they can listen. I mean, some of these scammers are pretty astute. They'll catch you really well. So they will play into what you need. So yes. Desperation definitely can make it easier for them to grab you. But even if you think you got it together, you're still going to be really self-aware about what you're sharing or who you're being until it's like you don't give out more information until you know more about them and you find out they're real as well. Because in a way, and I don't want to say dating apps are really terrible, but you got to be aware that there are scammers. I mean, there were scammers in bars too, so it's not that much different in a way. But the challenge with the dating app is you got less physical awareness of the other person that you do when you see them in person.
Melodie made a great point about meeting her husband organically at the gym. I love that term, meeting somebody organically, which means it's in the course of what I do. I meet somebody with similar interests.
Yes,
exactly.
I don't drink. I mean, everybody knows I don't drink. I'm sober. So going to a singles bar would not be congruent with who I am.
Totally.
So if I meet somebody there, I'm already behind the eight ball because they have an interest that I'm not a part of.
Right.
But if I met somebody at the grocery store, that's more me because I love to cook and I love food and I love doing that.
Yeah.
So that's important, right? Is living your life and allowing organic relationships to develop, right?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I talk a lot about, finding people who already matches the things you do. Like I do a lot of service work on the weekends. And if I meet somebody there, that's great because we're in the same place doing the same thing. We're both giving from our overflow sort of thing. So if it's the grocery store, the gym's always an interesting discussion, especially with men, because going up to a woman at the gym is a dangerous game.
You're right.
Because so many women get hit on at the gym. It's like, you can't just be another guy coming up and hitting on them. So how you approach it's got to be much more astute. And you got to be really, basically make a friendship first. Don't just hit on them the first thing you do.
Yes.
But like the grocery store is a great place because it's really level playing field, so to speak. And it's not you're going out looking for somebody, but you meet somebody there because you're in the grocery aisle and you're both discussing produce, and it's like you hit it off, great. But it's like, do you go to the grocery store to meet somebody, or do you go to the grocery store to go shopping, and then you happen to meet somebody by timing? That's the thing, is what you're doing energetically. Because one thing I'll say right up top, and this is one of the challenges for men and women, is that women are more sensitive and nuanced than men are, and they'll feel our intention before we know we're even thinking about it. So we've definitely got to bring ourselves to the experience where we're not looking for a date, because a lot of women I know are sensitive enough, they'll feel it and they'll basically like run away from you before you have any chance to say hi. So go there, meet them socially, you meet somebody like when you're shopping, but it's not like you're going, oh, she's cute, I want to date her, because that's going to push them away right away. So it's a subtle thing, but the challenge, we are much, as men, tend to be less sensitive to that sort of stuff than women are.
All right, let's a couple of comments to get in here. Nellie said, wait a minute, I already did that. Sorry about that. Christina, why not speed date?
Speed dates are another option. And there are people, a friend of mine claims she was one that started speed dating back in the 80s. But speed dating is a good option if it's done by somebody you can trust, because those sort of things can be great, 2 minute, 1 minute, 30-second, whatever those timings are. Like instant get to know somebody, much better than a dating app, because you're seeing somebody live in front of you. You can see how they move, how they talk, what they look like, much better than you can on a screen.
But this can also be, this is a ripe territory for manipulators and scammers as well, though, because they can go in there, create a persona and get close to people, right?
But in person, it's much harder, I think, to convince somebody than you can through a fake profile.
Gotcha.
So I think it's a better chance. And of course, the other problem with the speed dating is you want a place that's well lit, because a lot of speed dating places are darkened rooms too, which isn't fun.
Yeah. Ingie's with us. She says hi.
Hey, good morning, Mom.
Christina says the number one determining factor of meeting somebody in a relationship is proximity.
I would agree with that.
The number one determining factor of meeting somebody in a relationship is proximity. Yeah. I guess saying, why do I want to start dating somebody who's out in California? No offense to you Californians. If I'm here in Florida.
What happens if it's your twin flame? What do you?
So let me speak on that for a second.
Yeah, please.
Because I know, because I'm involved in a lot of like business networking and other social things and other connections through like Zoom meetings and everything else. And there have been connections that have happened through, I've seen people meet like who didn't live in the same location because they met online through some sort of other related experience. It wasn't like a dating thing, but they met somebody in like a nice connection and they built something outside of that environment. So long distance is actually, I think, in a lot of ways easier because we're now so connected online through, Zoom and other different connecting platforms. So it isn't like that's the only way, but yes, proximity does tend to be easier because we spend most of our time locally to where we live. So the odds of meeting somebody increases if you're out in the world. I mean, if you're sitting at home waiting for, your hero to show up at the door, knocking the door and calling you, that's a rare likelihood to happen. But if you go out in the world, grocery stores, gyms, etc., then you meet somebody socially. The other thing as well is that sometimes the best dating source is from friends that you have, because they'll meet somebody and go, oh, I need to put you together with this person. You'll be a great connection. That can work as well. So there's lots of options to date. But as I said at the beginning, what is your relationship with yourself? Are you looking for somebody else to make you feel great? Or are you looking to be able to bring yourself into a relationship to add to somebody else and share a life with them, being partners, as you said earlier? So how you get there, there's many different options. Again, dating apps, proximity, going to the store, friends of friends, blind dates, all sorts of things, speed dating as well. But those are all just methods. Yeah. The question is also, what do you bring to that in your own relationship with yourself?
I don't know if you hear this often. I've given up on dating. Just given up.
Yeah.
And that's, I understand that, because part of me, after my last relationship ended, I said, I'm kind of done with all of that. Mm-hmm. But as I get to know myself and build my self-esteem and build a person that I want to be without a relationship, I'm starting to think, well, maybe now, maybe sometime. But you probably hear that a lot. I've given up. I'm done, right?
Yeah, because they've been burnt so many times.
When they say that?
Well, they've been burnt so many times, and the thing is, it's largely because they've been doing the same thing again and again. And like Einstein says, the insanity is doing the same thing again and again, expecting a different result. The thing is with dating is, if you go back to the dating app or the dating service and you keep meeting somebody else without doing anything about that backpack you talked about, the baggage, you're likely to draw the same thing again and again. Most people, when I talk to them as clients, I've done it, this is my own experience too, is we've had the same experience with different relationship partners again and again and again because we didn't change anything. And the real challenge is, it isn't about them changing, it's about us changing. So when we are looking to fix our relationship experience by finding a new partner without doing any inner work, the odds are against us. So
Right.
when we have a bad breakup, it's like, what is it I need to learn? What did I make a mistake on? Because, and this is the big piece I put on the table now, because make sure it gets in there, is we learned about relationships from two people, our parents. However they did the relationships as very young kids. We watched that show in front of us of our the big people doing love, however good, bad, or indifferent it was, or absent even, and we think that's the way relationships are supposed to be. Now, we don't do that consciously. It's all unconscious because we don't know any different. We don't get books when we're 3 years old and go, let me study relationships, because we don't think that way, you know?
Maybe we should. Maybe we should.
Yeah, we need a book for 3-year-olds on how to be in relationships. There probably are books like that now, but most of the time we look at our parents and we don't realize it, but we're modeling what they model to us what we think relationships should be like without knowing it. And then when we get to our teens and 20s, we start choosing partners that unfortunately tend to remind us of that without realizing it, and we wonder why it doesn't work. So for some of us, we're lucky enough we had parents that were great, so we might have great success in dating. But for most of us, our relationship with our parents' relationship wasn't necessarily healthy or functional, or made mistakes, or we missed things, or we misinterpreted what they did, and we carry that into our adult relationships. So that baggage, that backpack, is what comes from that. Is we need to really figure out. So look at, okay, if for example you're raised in a family where the father left and they got divorced, and so if the child is a woman, is a girl, for example, and as she grows up, she might start attracting partners who keep abandoning her because she has that same wiring she got when she was a kid. So it really is important to identify what is you're repeating in relationships if it isn't working for you, and then do something about fixing that, changing that, and resolving that, so you can then choose better.
Barry, I just love the way you articulate yourself. It's so beautiful. I'm so curious.
She loves your Jersey accent. That's what it is.
Oh, I do love your English accent. What I'm curious about, I'm always curious about what makes people choose the career path that they've gotten into. I can't imagine that your 4 or 5-year-old self says, I want to be a relationship love guru, an author. So tell me, like, what did you want to do? And then what inspired you to get into this field?
Well, when I was probably 5, 6 years old, I wanted to be a race car driver. So no, it wasn't going to be this. But I've had at least 6 careers before this. So this wasn't what I came out to do, was it when I became an adult either. It's just that it's the accumulation of everything I've been learning along the way, because even though I had 6 different careers, I've been involved in personal development and spirituality and psychology for decades. It's been sort of my sort of secret life outside of that. And really, I really got clear, and the big shift for me happened in 2007 after my last big bad breakup, and basically because she, in no uncertain terms, told me what I did wrong, and it was kind of the worst and the best thing that happened at the same time, because I didn't want to hear it, but I needed to hear it, and that feedback put me on the path to find new learning, different teachers I hadn't worked with before that changed my perspective on relationships and on love. And I realized what I was learning as a toolbox, as a toolkit, wasn't just for me, that I needed to teach other people, because again, as I said earlier, it's like I needed to really get good at it by teaching other people how to do this too. And again, when I was in high school, because I wasn't the most suave and debonair boy in the school, the girls liked me as a friend, so they would cry on my shoulders. So I even had practice from being a teenager how to be the safe place for women. And so initially, when I started coaching, I worked primarily with women, because that was my ease. That was much more effortless in a way. But then I realized all the work I was doing with women, I need to teach the men how to be with women in a better way too. So I've started working with men as well, because most men have no clue how to be with women in a way that is respectful, it is honoring, it is partnership versus domination, taking all the other things that men have been trained to do. So that's the one way of saying how I do what I do.
I love it. As a female, as long as I can remember, I just always really got along well with males, and I found us females to be very catty and way too emotional. So glad I didn't have daughters. I can't even stand myself sometimes.
I'm just so glad you said that instead of me, because I'd be in deep shit if I said that.
I can say it. But I think that it's really important to really connect with yourself and remember that just because something that you you used to love and be inspired by doesn't mean that you don't have that. Let's say you don't have that dream anymore. You have a new dream. That's okay to go after other things too.
Absolutely.
It's okay to go after a different type of person. We change so much within every day. So it's natural to grow and evolve and want different things throughout your life.
Nellie wanted to update. She says she gave up because she's been working on me. She's been working on herself, and she fell in love with herself. So she kind of gave that up a little bit. My business partner, Karen, my friend Karen, great show.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, Karen. So let's get back to this because we keep coming back to the same thing. We keep hearing love yourself. Love yourself, know yourself. Everybody talks about that. Everybody talks about it. You got to love yourself first. What exactly does that mean? Is that a self-centered kind of thing? What exactly do we mean when we're talking about loving yourself?
Well, it's a self-centric thing, not self-centered, because it's not ego-based. But also it's about making the relationship with yourself as important as any other relationship. We're oftentimes so busy externalizing our needs in other people, like we are becoming codependent. We're not putting ourselves first. So one thing is, I talked to a lot of people about having healthy boundaries for a start, because most people don't even know what those are. But having healthy boundaries means that we learn how to have agreements with other people and ourselves that are healthy, that we tell the truth with ourselves and other people, that we're honest with ourselves, because a lot of times we're not even doing that. And also we put ourselves first. Like you met your husband at the gym. It's amazing when people think that when they get the relationship, they'll start doing things like working out and exercising to be healthy. Or the other flip side I see other people do is they're going to be committed to the gym until they meet their partner, they can put their feet up. It's like we have to keep putting ourselves first, whether we're in a relationship or not. And because the longest relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. So why not put that in, put the effort into that? But a large part of the work I do is a lot of work with forgiveness and with boundaries, especially because most people aren't learning to look in the mirror and seeing, okay, where am I not taking care of myself? Where am I making mistakes in my relationships? Any relationships, not just romantic, because I don't see things clearly, because I'm looking through, tinted glasses from all the past experiences I've had that aren't healthy. And so we as humans have so much work just to be kind to ourselves at times, because a lot of times we don't take care of ourselves by being kind with ourselves, compassionate with ourselves. We judge the bejesus out of ourselves because we don't do things perfectly. So all those sort of things are part of the relationship with ourselves that self-love is about. I used to talk about self-love as being, I'll put your hand over your heart and just say, love yourself in the mirror. Well, that's a good start, but it's really a panacea. It doesn't do everything. It's really saying, okay, so what am I judging myself that I didn't do right yesterday? Let's clean that up. Let me be more kind to myself. Let me fix that by being more compassionate with who I am. Because we oftentimes are kinder to other people than we are to ourselves. The old saying about if we treated our friends like we treated ourselves, we wouldn't have any. It's that side of mindset. We're not taking care of ourselves. We're not respecting ourselves. We should be our own best friend. That's the best work we can all do.
And that's something, I know I've gone through, and
be your own best friend. Oh my gosh, you got to be your own best friend, be your hero, be your partner, be the person that just makes you so happy inside. Don't look for the happiness outside of yourself. You're never going to find it. It's an elusive feeling that people chase. They think it's in a person, a place, a thing.
Yeah.
And what it really is a feeling inside of yourself where you feel centered and grounded. That's the way I perceive it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't base your self-worth on the car you drive or the money that you make, because if that car crashes, does that mean you have no value anymore?
That's the trap, right?
Right.
But it's just like every other good habit that you want to develop. And I do this for myself, Barry, and I say it out loud, and I tell Scott, I say it out loud for myself, is that consistency is key. And whatever you put in your mind, what you listen to before you go to sleep, and the first thing that you listen to in the morning is going to shape your whole day. You got to plant those seeds in your subconscious, because that program's always going throughout your mind throughout the day. So it's really important that you fill your mind with positive things, positive thoughts, and really get into what makes you happy, so that you can find what inspires and lights you up again.
She texts me at night and says, Scott, make sure you take 5 minutes and relax and be positive before you go to bed. She's, we've been friends for less than a month, and she's already so important to me because she helps guide me that way. Barry, you said a large part of your practice is helping people to develop that relationship with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any like actionable intels you can give us that people can use out there? Maybe some practices people could start doing?
Sure. I mean, one of the simplest things I tell this to a lot of people is like such an easy thing to do is at the end of the day, and also at the beginning of the day, if you want to do it as well, is write down 3 things you're grateful for. Just that. Just write down 3 things that you're grateful for that maybe you got through the day without yelling at somebody. Maybe you completed a project. Maybe you worked out in the gym. Whatever it is, just write down 3 things. Doesn't matter how big or small. But if you do that every day, especially if you write them down, after about a month, that's going to be 90 things you've written down. That's a lot of positive stuff you can do for yourself. So even something as simple as a gratitude practice can be transformational because it shifts your internal state. And I'll say one quick thing. You mentioned about like how you treat yourself. The funny thing is when you start putting yourself first to take care of yourself, you start to become more attractive. So if you're worried about dating, it's actually the cheat code in a way, because the more you take care of yourself, the more you're going to find somebody nice out there because you're being nice to yourself. So yeah, but
self-confidence is very attractive.
It's magnetic.
But
when you don't want something from somebody, yes.
But it's not ego-driven. It's about your self-confidence. Because you care about yourself and you respect yourself. The confidence is about, I love who I am and I really care about who I am. I mean, people start noticing that. So it may look as confidence, but it's really about self-respect.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. Very nice. A couple of comments. I want to make sure I get to them. Let's see. Nellie says, we need to have empathy for ourselves just like we do others.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Melodie was making the point earlier. I mean, we treat others so much better than we treat ourselves. And that we need to start doing that. And Angie says self-respect. It's all about self-respect. So she already was right on the train that you were talking about. This is awesome. You actually have a quiz, don't you? To talk about how you feel about
on
yourself,
your website.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually have 2. One's on my site you can find through the site. The other one you have to go through directly. But the one I developed, the second, which is the more important one to me, is the self-relationship assessment. It's basically a chance to look at yourself in the mirror, so to speak, and really answer the questions that are in the quiz to see where you can be better at doing things for yourself and taking care of yourself. There's actually 7 different aspects within the quiz. And my site, by the way, for anyone who's looking at it, is barryselby.com, my name, so it's easy to find. And the quiz is the self quiz, is what I call it on the site, but it's a self-relationship assessment. And it's really looking at your life. Now, if you're looking for a relationship, there's a relationship readiness assessment as well. That's on the homepage of my site. Right in the middle, it says, do take the quiz there. But I really started realizing that quizzes really help people to look in the mirror before they even think about reaching out to me. Because people sign up, they will sign up for a discovery session with me, but they're not even sure what they're looking for. So by doing the self-assessment first, they have some questions, they have some answers, they have some intentions. So when they do reach out to me, then we can really dive deep right from the get-go, rather than spend a lot of time wandering around looking for what to work on. And the self-relationship assessment, I love it because even though people when they do the quiz, there's a downloadable PDF with some guidance and everything else in it too, is when they take the quiz, people get value from it right from there. So I love the fact that people can get answers to their questions without even talking to me first. And then if they want to, they can reach out afterwards.
There's, you're working you're working in a thing where there's no real hard, fast rules because all bets are off with everybody. Everybody's so different. 2 people can meet in extreme circumstances. Everybody says, no, if you meet in extreme circumstances, you'll never be able to live up to that. But sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. What is if you had to name the top 3 things that are important in any relationship, what would you say they are? In general, I guess.
Communication.
Okay.
Honesty. I say trust.
Wow.
That's 3. That's not the only ones, but only 3 to start with.
Yeah. Trust is huge.
Yeah. I didn't like the honest part. I'm not a fan of that.
But
as we skip the honesty thing?
We're gonna have a whole nother segment just on vulnerability.
Yeah. The thing also again about trust and communication, trust and honesty, is that also means with yourself as well. So that brings another quality of transparency of the relationship and vulnerability, as you said. Yeah.
Nellie's asking for the website. It's barryselby.com. BARRYSELBY.com.
Right.
barryselby.com. I'll make sure I put it in the comments after the show, and that way you guys will see it. But that's his name, Barry Selby, and that's his website. That's where you can get all that information. What else did we want to do? Is there something else you wanted to ask, Barry?
If you could say one inspiring thing to singles searching for love out there right now, Barry, given this current state of dating, what's some encouraging words that you could give folks out there?
Try not to use the word hopeless, okay?
Give us some words of wisdom, some more golden nuggets.
Well, first of all, we all deserve love, whether it's love for self or getting love for somebody else. The only thing limiting you is your belief that you can't have it. So really, there's 8.5 billion people on the planet. So there's not like a lack of people out there. It's just a lack of opportunities. Like, again, we said earlier about relationship with self. The more you're working on relationship with self, the more magnetic you become, the more attractive you become. So yes, getting out in life and being in life, being involved, having enjoyment in what you're doing becomes this magnet that pulls people to you. And women especially are good at this. We're getting better at it, but women are especially naturally good at this because they glow when they're enjoying themselves and they become attractive. Mm-hmm. We can be in the same practice. It's like participating in life is part of what makes life worth living, frankly. So if you're worried about not having love, as I said way back at the beginning of the show, being with yourself, having your own relationship with yourself being the most important thing is where it's really at anyway. So you go out in life, have fun, have a great relationship with yourself, and then, oh, nice to meet you, sort of thing. It's almost that easy in a way because we're not looking for it. It becomes effortless.
Wow. Barry, thanks so much for joining us today, brother. It's so good to see you.
We had the best time.
We'll have to have you back, occasionally and talk about relationships because it is when it comes to being stuck in a rut, relationships are like almost as big as careers, almost as big as far as how people get stuck and they feel like they can't make changes. And not everybody needs to run screaming from a relationship. Sometimes it's about looking for the things that you forgot to look at and take care of things that you forgot to take care of. I'm going to, before we let him go, I'd like to give him a little quiz so people can get to know him.
Okay.
Barry.
Okay.
What's your favorite word, Barry?
Ooh. It changes over time. I think the favorite word right now, well, I mean, the easy one to go to is love. But I think the one I'm working on right now that's really the passionate one is boundaries. That's become up a lot recently in my conversation. I love that framing and understanding of how to have boundaries because life gets easier that way.
What is your least favorite word?
Can't.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one either. Not a fan. What turns you on, gets you excited creatively and spiritually and emotionally? What really gets you going?
Willingness to try new things.
Excellent.
People around me want to explore, try things, partner up. Those sort of things. It's fun. I was actually in an event this week, and just the creativity was just flowing there. It was fun to be there. So yeah.
What turns you off? Just you hate it.
Really bad. Well, judgment. Make it simple.
Judgment. Excellent. What's your favorite curse word?
He's like, I have to choose one.
There's so many.
Well, there's actually a recording. It's decades old, called the F tape that was done by Rajneesh. It is one of the most entertaining. He's an Indian guru, and it's done in that accent. It's so funny because it talks about how, like, the word "fuck" literally had so many uses. It's transitory verb, and it's this and it's that and the other. It's a great. If you find it, it's so funny. If you find it, I'll send it to you.
All right. Well, yeah, absolutely. What noise do you love to hear? Is there a noise that you love?
The sound of appreciation.
Oh, I love that one.
That's good.
I have to remember that one.
So much better than birdies twerping.
Babies.
What noise do you hate to hear?
What's the smoke alarms?
Smoke alarms. Okay.
I don't like that one either.
All right. If you could do anything, a profession, I think you already told us when we were talking about your childhood. If you could do any profession and try any profession, what would you like to try?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I still like to be a race car driver. That'd be fun.
Race car driver. There you go.
It's still in there.
Oh, you still haven't tried that as a hobby?
I've been a race car. I've been to car races back in England, not so much over here because the round isn't racing for me.
Yeah.
Grand Prix, I'm on my speed.
Oh, okay, a real race car driver.
Gotcha. What profession would you never, ever, ever want to do?
Actually, working on a production line. Factory work.
Factory.
That feels so limiting to me.
All right, last question, and thanks for putting up with this. These questions come from the great French Bernard Pavot, who used these in his interviews. Assuming God exists and you die and go to heaven, and you're at the pearly gates, what would you like God to say to you?
Thank you.
Nice. And we thank you. I'm not God, but I'm thanking you anyway. Barry, thank you so much. There's so much to unpack. I hope everybody got a little something out of it. We're getting a lot of comments. Amazing show. Thanks for the show.
This was way better than I even imagined.
I told you, Barry is one in a million. He really is.
Thank you.
And go to his website, barryselby.com. You could take the quiz. You could read about stuff. Get his book. 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. Is that on Amazon?
It's on Amazon, but also just a quick sidebar. It's on my site as well. If you go to my website, you can find it through navigation. It's barryselby.com/book. I got creative recently, actually a few months ago. I found there's an AI model that you create by putting PDFs in there. It creates a review. So what I've got is an audio review on my website on the book page. It's like a 12-minute conversation between two very professional sounding AI voices discussing my book accurately. And it just cracks me up. It's so good because they really they promote my book in a way that I never thought it could be possible. So it's really fun. It's like a 12-minute audio clip I put on the book page. But yeah, it's on Amazon as well, just as another option.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
50 Ways to Love Your Lover, not the Paul Simon song. 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
50 Ways to Love Your Lover, and check it out. Go to barryselby.com. Barry, thank you so very much.
A pleasure.
We appreciate you, Melody, as always,
it was
darling.
Nice meeting you.
You're the best.
You too.
Absolutely. And all of you out there, please make sure that you do 2 nice things for yourself each day and 1 nice thing for somebody else, and you're never going to have a bad day. I guarantee it. Final word?
Remember to always be kind to your mind and take care of others.
That's it. For our guests, Barry Selby,
Melody,
and Scott, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time right here on the Live Louder podcast.
Bye.